Clerk please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk.
Councilor Comito?
Present.
Councilor Burke?
Present.
Councilor Janick?
Present.
Councilor DiMederos?
Present.
Councilor Edwards?
Present.
Councilor Paul?
Present.
Councilor Perry? All present.
Thank you. All right, first item on the, do we have any public comments up there? Anybody sign up? No? Okay. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda as listed. Would any councilors like to remove any items of the consent agenda? Councilor Janick.
B11.
Okay, any other councilors? Okay.
B12.
B12. All right. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda minus B11, 12, and C1.
So moved.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, Councilor Janick, B11.
Okay, so the Preservation Advisory Board was tasked with, after the Lafayette House was torn down, they were tasked by our town administrator at the time to come up with some kind of an ordinance. So they did meet with the Preserve Rhode Island and did come up with a proposal which came here and then was changed and came back again. That is included in our minutes, and I did reach out to Preserve Rhode Island, and part of their recommendations were also that they would be holding a workshop April or May. They haven't set a date yet, but I would request that we try to attend it at that time and get what their information is. Their plan is to pull towns together who have historical buildings and structures and try to help. There is nothing statewide in Rhode Island. There is in other states, but Rhode Island does not have a statewide ordinance. But the suggestion was that we do a workshop with Preserve Rhode Island, and this is what they're doing, so I suggest we do that. We had talked about this a couple of meetings ago, and I was supposed to be on the agenda to follow up, and it wasn't on there, but I felt this was a good way to slip it in.
Perfect. So, Mr. Administrator, could we keep tabs on that board when they're going to have that workshop? Yes. Okay,
And I
thank
will
you.
keep tabs too and notify you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Burke.
More of a public service announcement opportunity. This is the Open Space and Land Preservation Commission minutes. Their item 2A speaks to the Hicks Farm property that the Open Space Commission money, the council approved $1 million towards that. They're still in need of, according to this, $700,000 to help purchase the conservation easement on it. It's a much-needed piece of property in North Tiverton. So I just encourage anyone who would like to donate to go to the Tiverton Land Trust website, and they have information on there on how to donate.
Thank you. Councilor Perry.
I ran into the treasurer at Town Hall the other day, and she gave me a little information, and it's on gambling casino funds, account 650. It's at the back. On page 5.
Page 5 in the back.
That, yeah, under gambling casino, under page 5. Account 650-000-789504. There's $50,000 in there for the complex feasibility study. And I know we're approving $650,000 tonight, I believe. Is that the same study?
No, no, sir. So there was a public safety complex building feasibility study, but we amended the resolution, which I believe is on our agenda this evening, to include the $650,000 that was originally earmarked for the Recycle center, construction.
Correct.
How about this 50,000?
Yeah, this is a couple of years ago, I believe.
That's what this is.
Yeah,
Was,
right.
yeah.
And she also mentioned, maybe we should take a look at that. I wish she was here tonight, but she's not. There are some other accounts in there that, there was money sitting there that should be moved out.
Counselor Camino?
Yeah, I thought we had that discussion about that 50,000 at the last council meeting. Yeah, we did. Yes,
Yeah.
about the 50,000 that was being there, and I was under the assumption we were gonna take that 50 and add it to what the administrator was asking for to make up the difference. So it lowered that number that you were asking, correct? Yeah.
So the $50,000 was previously earmarked by the council for a public safety study. There's also $650,000 approximately earmarked for a recycling center for the town. The request was, given the presentation that was given to you at the last meeting, to use the $50,000 for the public safety study, and also approximately another $50,000 to $60,000 with all of the other earmarks for the recycling center as part of the PAR agreement. So I know I've spoken with the treasurer too, and I know there's also another feasibility study, I believe, for recreation.
Right.
Which is approximately $24,000.
Yeah, that's-
So that money is there. I would suggest that we would have, and I will have a conversation with the recreation committee, just to know where that stands, so to see if it can be brought back to the council for reallocation.
Okay. Any further questions on this from the council? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve 4B, 11, 12, and C1.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by pretty much everyone and seconded by Counselor Janick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, and we have no public comments, right, Madam Clerk? Perfect. All right, next up is appointments and resignations. We have one Harbor Master annual term expiring 12/31/2025. I believe this is to reappoint through 12/31/2026, correct?
Correct.
Yep, okay. Tyler Loomis, 89 John Dugan Road, requests annual reappointment with the Harbor and Coastal Waters Management Commission. Recommendation.
I make a motion to approve
Second.
Tyler Loomis's reappointment with Harbor and Coastal Water Management Commission recommendation.
Okay.
I would like to say that he grew into this position very nicely, and he's doing a fantastic job.
All right, motion by Counselor DiMedeiros, seconded by Counselor Paul. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
John, we should do 7B before we do 7A.
Okay. So without objection, I'd like to take 7B out of order. So 7B is a public hearing for the approval of proposed text amendments to the Comprehensive Community Plan, Chapter 3.0 Planning Concept, and Chapter 5.0 Land Use Plan, as stated. This being a public hearing, I'd like to now open the public hearing. Would any members of the public like to talk about these Comprehensive Community Plan amendments? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from the council, or would someone like to make a motion to approve these? Councilor Camino. By all means.
On the first page, line, looks like line 23, when it talks about outside of Tiverton, the business park, the lack of infrastructure, particularly sewers and public water. I'm not I just don't understand why we're mentioning that in the change, or why they're changing that, or why that's being added in, where I think it belongs in performance standards. Just, I don't understand why we're adding that into this particular change.
So this came from the planning board. This is an update to the comprehensive plan. This is like the general overarching document that governs zoning changes, and I believe that the statement is just to accurately reflect what is the actual status of the town's use of land. This is in the location of business opportunities. So this is in that section of the comprehensive plan. And however, outside of the Tiverton Business Park, the lack of infrastructure, particularly sewers and public water, and natural feature constraints are the major factors inhibiting these forms of development. So it's basically saying, in those areas of the town where there are not sewer and water, that's where we are constrained to have businesses because we do not have that. So it's really just stating a fact and saying, hey,
Okay.
that's the purpose of that. It's kind of to update what the actual conditions are on the ground. Again, this is a planning document, so.
Any other questions from the council, or do I have a
Yeah,
motion?
and then we
Counselor?
want to, under PDP overlay, we crossed out industrial and technology. Like, so is that to rename? So it's not an industrial or a technology park anymore in the PDP? Like, so I feel like the industrial park, I just feel like there's so many different names to what's going on up there. Is this to try to clear it up?
So it's
When we
really,
try to put different things in there, some people say, well, it's an industrial park. Well, we don't want that. It's a technology park. This isn't good enough. Like, we're all over the place with it, so
so
I
the,
just need understanding
so
of.
our planner recommended that updated because as originally proposed, it was an industrial and technology, delegation or overarching goal, right? But since that time, we have a sports complex there right now. We have a self-storage place right now, and we have other proposals, the car storage. So so it can still be industrial technological, but really we have more of a mixed use. We have recreation there now too. So the plan needed to update that. We're going to allow recreation facilities in that area. So that's why that was updated. Doesn't mean you can't put industrial. It's still in zone industrial. There are other uses that are still there, but this more accurately reflects what's actually going in there. Because it has been industrial technology for a long time, but unfortunately, we haven't attracted that type of business there.
It's an overlay of
It's
the
no-
industrial, so it's still industrial. It's
Correct.
just-
The underlying zone is industrial.
Right.
But the PDP itself is an overlay district, correct?
But I understand, but every time we go to put something there or we have a debate, it comes up,
Yeah.
like, the words industrial technology, people in the audience or our constituents, so we say, that's not supposed to be industrial park, it's supposed to be technology, right? So I think if we can just clarify, and I think that's what we're trying to do, right?
Correct.
Yeah?
So, I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so now, from now on, it's no longer an industrial park or a business park or any of those other things. It is the PDP overlay.
So if we did that, then there's other language in there that is still confusing, because we still refer to it as the Tiverton Business Park in
It's
a
a
couple
PDP overlay
areas.
district.
Right.
And
And I think it's fine to do PDP, because I think it does help those folks who may not have industry who want to put something in there understand that it's allowable, but you really have to look at what is allowed, not just the title. But I think we're going to have an easier job of selling it as a business park, and people still aren't going to understand what does PDP mean.
And honestly, if you look at the language, this area can be also utilized for other large-scale commercial enterprises such as recreational facilities, which is not in the current plan, and storage. Obviously, that wasn't an original plan, as well as for medical and educational facilities. In addition, uses that support the anticipated offices, research and development, light manufacturing, recreational, medical. So we're basically trying to conform the comprehensive plan to what actually went there, is proposed to go there and is there now. So, but you're right, as originally proposed, it was for industrial only, nothing recreation. Frankly, honestly, when the current facility was there, this plan should have been updated to reflect the recreational facility, but we're now catching up.
All right, any further questions from the council? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve these changes.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded by Councilor Paul, seconded by several. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. All right, now we're going backwards to 7A, which is the approval of proposed amendment to the Tiverton Code of Ordinances, Articles of Appendix A zoning ordinance, several subsections. This being a public hearing, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Would any members of the public like to speak on these zoning changes? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Okay, I don't think she's coming up to speak. All right, I'd like to close the public hearing. Any questions from the council, or do I have a motion to approve these changes? Councilor Burke.
A couple of questions. One on Article 2, definitions. Near the bottom, we talk about accessory facilities and services, and we say may include health fitness club, pro shop, or retail sales of recreation equipment, comma, clothing and nutrition. So my assumption is the intent is it's related to recreational type clothing and nutrition, although it could be interpreted more broadly.
What line do you want?
I'm sorry, line 13.
Well, that could be true, but you also, as you know, when you interpret these things, you look at the things that are around them, so I think a fair argument can be made. You're talking about basically like, if you're gonna sell like athletic gear. No, I mean athletic, this really means athletic gear, right? It's accessory to an athletic complex.
Okay.
So it might be sneakers, it might be
Right. As long as
yoga
we're clear on
pants,
that.
whatever, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Secondly,
That's the intent.
on the,
Because it says clothing and nutrition, right? You wouldn't go to Saks at Fifth Avenue and buy clothing and then like a
I don't
nutrition
know, I don't go to
bar.
Saks.
No, neither do I. Neither do I. I prefer LLB, but go ahead.
So I'm turning to the next page, Article 6. We talk about commercial athletic recreation facilities. We talk about the permitted uses and the like, limitations on entertainment events, and it relates to unless, it says these types of things are not permitted unless there's a special event permit granted pursuant to Chapter 51 of the Code of Ordinances. So I just would like to get clarity on who would have to come to us for a special event permit for any of those types of things. With examples in the past, we've had vendors basically come to us who have had these types of activities at that site, at Longplex, as opposed to the Longplex owner. So when I read Chapter 51 of our Code of Ordinances, it seems to me that it's the facility, the business owner, not the vendor that would come to us.
So we've had this discussion ever since this became an issue. So as you know, the current ordinance says no person, corporation, or organization doing business in the town. So I read that to mean the business itself who's actually in the town already, right? So that absolutely needs to be clarified, and we're going to work with the clerk on that, but I believe it's the business owner, not the vendor who's coming. So frankly, it should be a joint application between the business owner and the vendor who wants to come in, so that we, have an opportunity to question, so that you have an opportunity to question both. But I think that's a fair reading of that. That's what the intent of this is.
Okay. And then under, again, it's hard to figure out which line it is, either 34 or 35, number 8. It talks about accessory non-sporting events being permitted accessory use. I'm unclear how these things don't fall under convention center, which is a non-permitted use.
Well, this is based upon the court ruling that we got. This is a way to kind of just codify that, so we're just kind of codifying that. So we're getting rid of that confusion, but consistent with the prior Superior Court ruling, we're trying to codify that. That's what the court ruled.
Because we didn't have a definition.
Well, that's what the court ruled based upon the ordinance at the time, right? So
Right, but we can make the ordinance different going forward.
going forward, but I don't think it would apply to retroactive to the application that was before us, the case that was before us at the time.
I would vote against this only because of that piece.
I can
Counselor Camino?
tell you when my daughter plays soccer, it's strictly a sports complex, and they host dog shows all winter long. It's a common thing in these type of venues, so it's just more information. And I have some other stuff if I can go on.
By all means, Counselor.
So, again, it's almost like my last statement. So in that same section, number 6, right around line 28, where it talks about land development application planning board shall include site, identify safety transit for pedestrians. Number 7, line 32, right? So again, shouldn't this be performance standards? Like, so,
This is performance criteria. That's under section.
okay. My bad then.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right.
It's section 10 performance criteria. As you know, we used to do this by special use permit. or, and so the state law changed and says that if you're going to, if you're going to have what used to be considered a special use permit, you need to have objective and specific criteria for them. So for this particular use, these are the specific and objective criteria that the applicant would have to meet to get to. So it's a permitted use, but they also have to meet these other criteria.
But this section isn't really the performance.
It is.
Isn't that another section in our zoning ordinance, a whole, where it's all listed out? This would be in that section?
This is a specific performance criteria for this specific use.
All right, so my only issue with this, with that being in here is, so if we develop, if the industrial park, technology park, whatever, business park, whatever we want to call it, PDP overlay, so to me, I feel as though like whoever's putting this recreation facility in is going to be responsible for connecting every building, every sidewalk in that entire area.
Well,
I don't think that's fair.
You're not.
So if you have a hotel, you have ice, you have hockey, like, and we're talking pedestrian walking and getting through, like, we're gonna make one party responsible for all the sidewalks and all the curbs to connect everybody. Am I reading too much into this, or?
I would think it's only related to the parcel or parcels that I'm purchasing.
Correct.
There, and within that, if I buy 6 parcels,
So there's already been talks of the car barn and Longplex being connected and safely travel with curbs, and so I'm just cautious that this is going really deep, in just my opinion. That's how I'm reading this, is like somebody's gonna, whoever falls in this category is gonna have to put all these curbs and sidewalks.
So it's not uncommon for a developer, again, any developer, anywhere in the town, right? If they go with a commercial development or whatever, say they're on a main street or whatever, the planning board can and does sometimes require them that they need to connect the sidewalks to a main sidewalk that's on the street, or install sidewalks. That's just part of the planning board process that they do to make it safer or whatever. So that's nothing new. So there's nothing, that provision, there's nothing new here. And again, Councilman Burke is right, these are separate parcels, so they're limited to making those improvements on those parcels to the extent that a person might own 2 or more parcels. They might say, yeah, makes a good idea to connect this sidewalk with the one that's already existing, and then make it connect. But that's up to the planning board as part of their approval process for a final plan approval.
Thank you.
All right.
I don't agree with it.
And by the way, Longplex and Street Legal, they have a shared parking. That's part of their plan, and that's why it's being asked to be connected.
Any further questions from the council? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve these changes to the zoning code as listed. Motion been made by Councilor Paul, seconded by Councilor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? All right. Next, council sitting is the Board of Licensing. These are advertised public hearings, so we'll take the liquor licenses by category. I'm not going to read them all off because they're all in front of you. So 8A is liquor license renewals from December 2nd, 2025 to December 1st, 2026. We have the Class A liquor stores as listed. Would any councilors like to remove any of these 3? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry, we have to open the public hearing. So I'd like to open the public hearing. This is on Class A liquor stores. Any members of the public like to speak on the 3 Class A liquor stores? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve the Class A liquor stores as listed.
so moved.
Motion's been made by several, seconded by Councilor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, Councilor Camino? Or are you in favor? Okay. Yep, unanimous. All right, next up is the Class BC. This is the casino liquor license, this being a public hearing. I'd like to open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak about the casino liquor license? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve the Class BC liquor licenses as listed. So moved. Motion by Councilor Perry, seconded, or by Councilor Paul, seconded by Councilor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Next item on the agenda is the Class BV liquor licenses. like to open up the public hearing for the 17 Class B Vs as listed. Any members of the public like to speak on these? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Mr. Administrator, are we going to do all of these, or should I remove one?
I would like,
Okay.
yeah, I would like to.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the Class B V full liquor licenses for numbers 1 through 16.
So moved.
Motion been made by Counselor Paul, seconded by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. 17 Pine House. Mr. Administrator.
Mr. President, I ask the police chief to come up.
I don't see it.
Can I just ask while he's getting ready, the chief's getting ready? So this is for a liquor license, but there's also a change in hours. Like, can you do that during a request to, you can? Okay.
So as part of the renewal, they could ask for a change of hours, but it would be up to this board to decide whether or not that's granted.
That was part of the application, so they
I
put it,
did see it on there.
which is why the police chief, I mean, I know that Pine House was in front of you prior with some concerns, which is why I've asked the police chief to come up to address those concerns before you make any decisions on change.
Chief Costa.
So the police department has had some issues with Pine House going back to May and June. We have not had any incidents since June. However, prior to that, we had some issues with loud music. Him is extending his hours, Mr. Machado, the business owner, extending the hours of that business beyond what he was permitted to do. Loud music complaints came from that, as well as some of the things that were out of his control. People leaving his establishment, spinning tires, being noisy and loud when they were leaving. What became concerning to me is how our officers responded, and this is documented in their reports and on their Axon body camera footage, that when they were responding to the business for noise complaints or things like that, that at one point, Mr. Machado actually became somewhat confrontational with the officers and arguing with them about the loud music that was going on. And at one point, when they told him to turn it down, complaining about his neighbors, walked over to one of the open windows and yelled out the window towards what he believed was the complainant. So those are some concerns that we have. We haven't had any issues, like I said, since June. I'm a little concerned about the hours of operation that he's asking for. I believe he is looking to go from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. And a look at some of the businesses that are similar to his, most of those businesses are opening up at 11 a.m., and I assume that's in preparation for a lunch crowd that could be coming in. And they are staying open till 1, so I understand his need to stay open till 1 a.m. That's the type of business that he's owning, that he runs. I would not be objectionable to 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. With the understanding that 1 a.m. With the understanding that that business closes at 1 a.m. It is not last call at 1 a.m. It is closing time at 1 a.m.
So when they came in front of us, they were actually closing at 1, and we told them that that's not what they were licensed for.
Correct.
So after that, since you haven't had any trouble, but did they close earlier after we told them?
Yes.
So you were having trouble when they closed at 1 a.m.?
He was supposed to close at midnight.
Right.
Per his license. He began staying open past midnight, and he was staying open till 1 a.m., and he was doing that on what he felt his license allowed him to do. Since we've brought that to his attention, I believe he has been closing at midnight. We haven't had any issues. I spoke to the midnight sergeant, Sergeant Berlin. He has told me that they've gone by there, that they haven't had any complaints there since June.
See, my concern is when they were closing at 1 a.m. when they weren't supposed to is when the complaints were coming in, because we had neighbors speaking to us.
Yes.
And it was very, very loud. The windows were open. So when they closed at 12 a.m., there was no problems. So I'm hesitant to let them go to 1 a.m. because of that reason. Because they were disrespectful to police, and they were disrespectful to the neighbors, I understand. 1 a.m. is really late when you live across the street from this establishment.
Agreed. I looked at that and took that into consideration with some of the other businesses that are nearby. Like I said, that are running a similar business to his that are open till 1. And at this point, knowing the history that he has, what I would recommend is the hours from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. And I'd like to revisit this in 6 months to make sure that he has been compliant with the requests that are made.
I think the 6 a.m., I just assumed that was for breakfast. Right? I mean, why would you open at 6 a.m.?
I don't think the law allows us to open a Class BV at 6 a.m. I think it's 11. That's why it's consistent with all the others. I'm just trying to look it up right now, but,
Well, no.
So-
Yeah, the Black Goose, and so is Family Ties.
But they're not allowed to serve liquor.
until 11 a.m.
It's
Until
the
11
alcohol
a.m.
portion.
I gotta look, I'm just trying to.
I don't know if they're aware of that.
So the other
Yeah.
The other issue that I would have is that he does have a request in here for Thanksgiving hours that may vary and Black Friday hours that would vary. I disagree with that, and I think that
I didn't understand.
it says he has it here as 11 to 10 p.m. and then 11 to 12:30, but then it's just kind of confusing to me. Again, I don't think we should have anything to do with hours that may vary. We should be setting the hours, setting that standard no matter what day it is.
So it doesn't concern you that when he closed at 12, you had no problems in the summer, and before that, it was 1 and there was problems? That's concerning.
It's all concerning.
Okay.
I completely agree. I think it's concerning. But in fairness, and again, I'm very familiar with where he's at, and I know that when this business lets out, it is letting out into somewhat of a residential neighborhood. I understand that. But there is another business that is very close by that has those similar operating hours,
Which we never got complaints
which we
about.
don't get those complaints from, in all fairness.
Right.
But since it's been brought to his attention, I haven't had those issues since June.
All right, Counselor Camino, then Counselor Janick.
So, I thank the chief for doing his investigation with his officers and his recommendations. But at the same time, I would like to bring this back to a show cause hearing, and I think Mr. Machado should be in front of us, answering some of these questions. I don't know if you remember the last meeting we had months and months ago.
That's what-
He was here, and I don't think the attitude was really the best attitude to have with the business in town. So I mean, I don't know how we go about
Asking him to.
letting him to keep operating, but at least instead we change everything, I would still like him in front of us to answer some of the questions on, you know, has he made any changes? Has his attitudes changed? Why does he want to be open at 6 a.m.? Is he really changing his venue from family-oriented to a bar-room establishment to be at 1 a.m.? Me personally, I've been there on a couple of occasions, and it gets a little crazy. So I don't know, I'd like to hear from him on where this establishment's going. And I do agree with some of the recommendations that the police chief's making, but I'd like to hear from him himself, if we can.
So, I will defer to the solicitor and just, as far as the show cause hearing, I would assume that that would be something that the council is going to take some sort of punitive action against him. So with the solicitor, if the council's prerogative before they take any action on this license specific to the hours, that you want to invite him back to address some of the concerns of the police chief, we can definitely do that. And I'm sure would that be acceptable to the solicitor from a legal perspective?
Well, so for a show cause hearing, you'd have to give him notice of what the issues are, the violations are, so that's, that we need to do that. I mean, honestly, it's a little stale now, it was back in April, May. I mean, you can still do it, but his license is up for renewal, so, I mean, today was really the day for him to, come here and ask
So I think-
decent questions, so you could,
I think what you're saying, Mike, is when we talked about this back in April, I believe we were told that we were gonna have a show cause hearing in November. So,
I believe.
or we discussed it.
I think the
At
issue was going
minimum.
to be, and I have to go back, Counselor, and just confirm, that the police department was going to continue to monitor. And if there was any issues, then we would have the hearing. But from what the chief's saying, there were no issues, or the last issue was June. And knowing that in November, we would be revisiting his license renewal and taking it up at that time. So, I mean, I associate a show cause with that. The police department was issuing a violation, which the police department did not do, based on the last meeting that we had, because the gentleman was here and that the police department did it.
So,
If I may add to that, sir, we also were there, knowing that this hearing was coming up. I instructed our officers to go there, and on November 18th at about 20 past 8 at night, they went in there just to do a compliance check inspection, just to try and get ahead of some of this. And everything that was requested from us that we asked for, he was in compliance of at that time.
so, just one last piece is, I did get notified, I think it was the middle of last week, so it might have been the prior weekend. Some people that live in the area saying the music was quite loud. I can't prove, I didn't go by and listen, I can't prove it was them. I have no idea that the church was having functions going on at the same time. So, you know, at night when they ask, you can hear from miles away, so I'm just not sure it was them. But,
And that would be the entertainment license, which is a separate license from his liquor. So,
okay. Well, I still think he should be here. He knew he had issues, and he should be in front of us speaking, but, I mean, I'm willing to go with the chief's recommendations, but
Well, I would say that with that, and again, and I go to Mr. Solicitor, if we could, the council doesn't want to take action out of concerns, that we hold this license, and that we schedule it for the next council meeting to revisit that.
12/31.
And then have him here and invite him here before you issue the license, or at the very least, any change of hours.
Counselor Janick.
Well, just to follow up on that, these licenses, they expire
Expire.
December 2nd, so I don't think we'd want to pull his license.
Well, I would say that you
before
issue the
that.
license with
It's-
no change of hours.
Yeah, you could, I mean, you
Yeah.
could certainly do that, and then have him come
Short
back.
period of time?
Say it again?
You
You
could
could,
limit the period of time.
you could, if you want to have yes, you could say you're going to renew it for a period of time, subject to a further hearing or further information, but I don't think we can yank his license now.
But we can do
Right.
2 to 3, 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, probationary period or whatever, but keep it, you know, or I mean, if you want to extend the hours, and you can
No,
come
no,
back,
no.
oh, just,
Status quo, 2 to 3 months.
you could do that, yes.
the chief was saying,
And then
No,
he needs
you were
to come and
suggesting
talk
to
to us
move it
about
up.
the hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Till
so
1 AM.
my other question really was, the neighbors were complaining about the music and that it was outside on the porch and it was loud and it was late. Like, they'd have to comply with the noise ordinance, correct? And did you not, you didn't hear music late or loud, or it was
So,
inside?
I agree with you. Several of the complaints were music-related, and I think some of that, from what was documented in the reports that I've received from officers, were when they went to the establishment, either music had been turned down prior to their arrival, or that they went in and they found the music to be loud and they instructed him to turn it down. There were a couple of occasions where he made comment that they had the outside speakers on earlier in the night, and that they just had forgotten to turn the outside speakers off after guests had left, and then they were turned off when the officers instructed them to do so. My concern became when the officers responded there, the music was loud, he became upset, went over to the window and started yelling out the window himself. And at that point, you're pushing the envelope there about being arrested at that point.
That's why I don't understand why you didn't bring it to a just cause hearing, because that's unacceptable.
It was, and so you're talking about at that time, when
At
it
that
happened?
time, why
Yeah,
didn't you-
and it was addressed, and then immediately after the fact, within the next day, the now deputy chief, who was captain at the time, responded there on the 10th to set Mr. Machado straight on his hours and what we expected from the business. And like I said, since that time, we haven't had those issues. Again, what I'm giving you here are the hours that he requested. I did make some changes to them, and it was only to put him in alignment with other businesses similar to that. But it's only a recommendation. Obviously, the decision is yours to make.
Because I believe that his comment at that time was, he thought because the state of Rhode Island allowed him to be open until 1 AM, he didn't realize that his license did not allow that.
You're correct, and that's documented in the report.
Yeah.
Counselor Burke.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we,
We have to, the solicitor asked me to reopen the public hearing for
Oh,
this one
okay.
first, so.
okay, yep.
All right.
Counselor Perry had something too.
Counselor Perry.
So you haven't had a complaint since June?
Correct.
Correct.
3 months.
He was put on notice in June. So if I was put on notice and I know that my license is coming up in 4 months, I could stand on my head and spit nickels.
Agreed.
Okay.
And
I would like to make a motion.
And
We're gonna do public hearing.
I have before.
I would be here.
And seeing he's not here to represent himself tonight, which he should be, opening at 6, I hope he's changing his menu to serve breakfast.
So I can't tell you that's right.
Right,
I
and
don't
neither, and
know.
you can't tell us, and we don't know because he's not here.
So a BV license, you're required to have food at the time of the service of alcohol, so that's a requirement of the license. So-
Okay.
And by the way,
So-
you can serve at 6 AM according to the statute, yeah.
I would make a motion
Oh, yeah, I see them do it.
to,
We're gonna have a public hearing first.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go.
All right, so at this point, I'd like to open the public hearing on the Pine House Kitchen and Bar and their Class BV liquor license. Any members of the public like to speak on this specific establishment? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. All right, Counselor Burke, you want to do it
So I'm going to
first?
explain my motion, Dave, see if you agree with it.
Okay.
That we approve it as is now, status quo hours, for 3 months, and expect him to be back before us within that time period to respond to our concerns and neighbors' concerns. You okay with that?
I would like him to give him the opportunity to open at 6 in the morning. He's gonna be, sounds like he wants to serve breakfast. But we don't know that.
Right.
Well, again, he has to serve food.
He has to serve food.
Right, he has to serve food if he's serving at 6 AM. That's what a BV license.
I don't wanna hold his
Well,
business.
it's food, pretzels are food.
Yeah, but
I'm just telling you.
Then it's a bar.
So I'm going to make that motion because I don't agree with that at this point, Dave. If nobody wants to second it, that's fine.
I'll second Mike's motion.
All right, so, quick discussion, Mr. Solicitor. When it comes to this, hypothetically speaking, and correct me if I'm wrong, your motion is to keep the hours status quo, and he can come back in 3 to 4 months?
3 months.
3 months to appeal for a change of hours?
Correct.
Could you do it the other way and say your hours are the 6 to 1, and in 3 months' time, they revert back to what they are if you don't appear before us?
You could do that as well.
No,
Either way, they're coming back before you, so.
My only issue is be here to explain why you want to be open at 6 AM. That's all. I mean, I truly like the recommendations that the chief made, but he should be here to at least answer some of our little minor questions so we can put this to rest, and he's not here, so.
If I can add one more thing to this, when I was the deputy chief and the business was first opening, and the administrator was then chief, I went and visited him before they even opened, took a tour of the restaurant. I spoke with him. I told him the police department's concerns prior to even opening that we had with the prior owner that was there and doing the similar things. Gave him some suggestions and gave him some guidance then. So I do agree with you that we give him time. Yes, we can behave for a certain amount of time. How long is that time frame for? And that's why I said the 6 months.
Well, I have another idea. Why don't we renew his license until our next meeting, December 8th, and ask him to come and explain his reasoning for the changes, and then as of December 8th, we can decide.
We'd have to advertise that if we're gonna,
Oh, so we don't have time.
I don't think, we'd have to advertise a change. I mean, so the licensing expires at the end of this month, December 1st. So,
Okay, so instead of going 3 months, what I'm thinking is, can we do it in January then? Our first meeting in January? Because we don't have a second meeting in December. So instead of waiting 3 months for him to come and explain, and we make a final decision, can we do it in January?
But we don't have to wait. We can have him on the agenda before the end of the 3 months, and if he comes, if we
No, but
get
we'd
him
have to
on.
advertise it. We'd have
I
to.
understand that. I understand that.
Well,
But
that's why I'm-
you give him a 3-month time frame and advertise it for some time in between.
Yeah.
For him to come
Okay.
before us.
Well, it's kind of what I'm saying.
But he still has that cushion, so, but if we said January 7th and we met on January 6th and then still didn't come to agreement,
Right.
then we'd have to do it again. So there's a little bit-
so just to understand, you want to keep the hours the same
Yes.
for our 3-month period, subject to him coming back requesting another change. Now, of course, an applicant can come anytime.
Right.
And ask for a change. So if you just grant this for the whole year and give him the opportunity to come back and petition this council for another, like, I don't know the purpose of waiting 3 months. You could do it for the whole year as keeping the hours. And if he wants to petition, For additional,
Because-
There's two parts to
Yeah.
it. One, that we expect him to come before us.
That's fine.
Within that time frame, and then we give him the 3 months for right now.
okay,
It gives them more motivation to come in.
And I would say, sir, and you'd want to report an update from the police department as well.
Madam Clerk.
Can we can't just continue this rather than have to have another advertisement?
well, the license technically expires, so that's the problem.
Madam Clerk would like to say something.
He doesn't share well.
Shut it off. I think part of the problem is the victualling license has Friday and Saturday. He has service until 12:30. So it was inconsistent with the license, his liquor license was inconsistent with his victualling. So by telling him he has to stop serving liquor at 12 when he was serving food until 12:30 didn't make sense. That's why he wanted to extend his hours. The last time he came before you, he was trying to extend it to 2 o'clock, and you said no. So this is really reasonable to say it's the same as other businesses in town. And if you're having a problem with the music, that's the entertainment license. That's not the liquor license. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit. I think the 6 a.m., that might be an error, I'm not sure, but you can control that to match other businesses in the area. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Oh, okay. Sorry, Mr. Solicitor.
So, because it's going to have to go.
Motion is to extend his license with his current hours, his BV liquor license with his current hours for 3 months, with the expectation that he come before us to respond to our questions and concerns, and that the chief comes back with any additional information that he may garner.
So just so we have a date specific for this, it would be March 1st, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yep, December, January, February.
So 3 months, because he expires on the 1st, so.
Okay, is that correct, Mr. Solicitor? Okay. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I think we get 12 minutes. Let's try and get through the rest of these here. I know, they're getting loud out there. All right, next item on the agenda is the Class BVL limited liquor licenses. As listed, this is a public hearing, so I'd like to open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on these BVL licenses? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion from?
So moved.
Counselor Burke? Do I have a second? Seconded by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda is the Class BT Bed and Tavern. One applicant. This is a public hearing, so I will now open the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on this application? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion from the council to approve the class, motion by Counselor Paul? Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by several. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda is the Class D unlimited club liquor licenses. There are 2 applications. Is this a public hearing? I'd like to open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on these applications? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion from the council to approve these licenses? Motion by Counselor Paul, seconded by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unopposed. Okay, next item on the agenda is indoor shooting range license renewals. We have 2 applicants. As this is a public hearing, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on these applications? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. I have a motion from the council. It's a motion by Counselor Paul, seconded by Counselor Perry, to approve these licenses. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? None opposed. Next item on the agenda, the junkyard dealer / junkyard license renewals. As listed, as this is a public hearing, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on these licenses? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion from the council to approve these junkyard dealer licenses?
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Paul, seconded by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion? Counselor Comito.
Yes, so under the junkyard, I think General Auto needs to get a little recognition for the support that they put behind the Tiverton Fire Department for many, many years. I don't know if we saw Facebook this week, but again, they actually hosted a major training and worked well with the fire department and set up many props for them. So it's just a great business in town, and they really do support the town locally. So just like to give them a little shout out.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Counselor Camino, in favor? Yes, okay. Just
Oh,
making
yeah,
sure.
I am too.
Non-advertised public hearings for license renewal, we have the approval of the entertainment licenses as listed. As these are public hearings, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on these entertainment licenses? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion from the council to approve these licenses? Motion by Counselor Paul, seconded by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion?
Yeah,
All right.
before you go, I'd like to remove 13 from that motion.
All right, so Counselor Paul is going to amend his motion to approve D 1 through 12 and 14.
That is correct. So moved.
All right, seconded again by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
So on that, I'd just like to make the same motion for the entertainment license as was for the BV license. And I need a second.
All right, motion made by Counselor Burke, seconded by Counselor DiMederos. Any further discussion? Do you want to do public hearing on this one again? All right, I'd like to open up the public hearing on the Pine House Kitchen and Bars entertainment license. Any members of the public like to speak on this license? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, close the public hearing on Pine House. We have the motion on the floor from Counselor Burke, seconded by Counselor DiMederos. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? None opposed.
I feel like I'm selling something.
Yes, we are. We get 8 minutes before they're coming in. So petroleum storage license renewals, as this is a public hearing, I'll open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on these petroleum storage license renewals? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and entertain a motion from the council to approve the petroleum storage license renewals as listed.
Second.
Motion been made by Counselor Paul, seconded by Counselor DiMederos. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda is the flea market license renewal. There is one Route 177 flea market. As this is a public hearing, I'll open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on the flea market? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion from the council to approve the flea market license? Motion been made by Counselor Perry. Do I have a second? Seconded by Counselor Paul. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda is the mobile home park license renewals. As this is a public hearing, I'll open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on the mobile home park license renewals? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and entertain a motion from the council.
Question.
Counselor Burke.
Mr. Administrator, we had some concerns about some of these in the past. Are there any concerns that the building official or anybody has at this point?
It was Dotson and it was the septic.
Yeah, and that's been fixed.
Yeah, it was Dotson and the septic.
Okay,
It's fixed.
okay.
All
I'm
right.
not aware of any at this time, sir.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Burke. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Perry and Counselor DiMederos. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda is manufactured elderly community license renewals. Sorry, manufactured home elderly community license renewals as listed. I'll open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak on this license? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to?
We're not making old people?
Yes, we're not. That happens naturally. Do I have a motion from Counselor DiMederos?
It says pending positive planning board recommendation. Do we have that? Mike's not sharing again.
The planning board is not meeting until after this meeting, so it's pending. It's subject to meeting all legal requirements, so it's pending
All
the,
right, I just
planning
didn't
board.
know if we already had it.
I expect
same.
both of them to be.
Same will go for quarries as well?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to entertain a Counselor Camino.
Why would we need that if this has been established for a long time?
There is a reason.
It's in the ordinance.
It's in our ordinance. Whether that ordinance is consistent with state law, I'm not going to opine on that right now, but, yeah.
All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this license, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Do I have that motion? Motion by Counselor Paul, seconded by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Next item is the quarry. We have one applicant, Helger Brothers. Any members of the public like to speak on the Helger Brothers application? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain the same motion to approve meeting, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Motion by Counselor Perry, seconded by Counselor Burke. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, final license is the fireworks license renewals. There are 7. As this is a public hearing, I'll open up the public hearing. Any members of the public like to speak about fireworks? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve the 7 licenses as listed. Motion by Counselor Paul, seconded by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Which brings us right in line with 4 minutes to general business, and it's the congratulations and recognition of the Tiverton High School girls Soccer Division IV champions with a presentation by our state rep and state senator. Bring him in. Senator Felag, I want to thank you for carrying those in despite my father's issues.
Just that kind of guy, you know?
I know. Guys, you feel free to come on in. You know, we're going to bring you up to the front anyways. All right, before we let our distinguished representative and senator speak, everybody in? All right, hold on. We're waiting on my dad. He's like a pirate now. So before we have the presentation by our distinguished senator and state representative, Councilor Comito, I believe, would like to say a couple of words as he has a personal connection to this team. Councilor Comito, take it away.
So I first of all, want to congratulate the girls in their tremendous season they had this year. I was lucky enough to watch every single one of their games. They fought from the start of the season to the end of the season with the odds against them. They have some senior players, and they also have some new players who joined the team for the first time. And they all contributed in one way or another to the tremendous season that they had. So it's not an easy task, but they did it 2 years in a row, back to back. And the only other time that's ever been done was when I graduated with Coach Murray in the back. So, but girls, tremendous season. Congratulations, well deserved, and keep going in the future.
Senator Felag.
Jay always knows I'm not short on words, so I always love to attend playoff games. And the reason why I like to attend the playoff games is because of the fact that there's a lot on the line. And when I think of sports, obviously I was well enough to play sports at Warren High School, where I played soccer, basketball, and baseball. And they brought a nice perspective of competitiveness to me. And also I was able to play soccer at Providence College, where I was a goalie and started off for 3 years. And so when I watch the soccer games especially, I kind of equate things between panic and patience. Panic is when a team is always kind of yelling at each other. They're in disarray, they're not organized, they get on each other, especially when pressure situations arise. And patience is when you're patient with your teammate. You're able to make a mistake and not worry about it and able to come back better this next time. And I noticed that with the Tiverton girls softball team that won the championship, where at various stages they were behind, but they never panicked. They never yelled at each other. They were patient with each other, and they allowed each other to work at their best and be optimistic, and they ended up coming back and winning the championship. And I sort of noticed the same thing when I watched two of the playoff games. One wasn't really much of a challenge when they won 9-0, but the other game where it was a 2-1 game, it was 1-1. And it was very close in terms of who was going to score the next goal, because the next goal was going to be a deciding factor on who was going to go to the finals. And it was fortunate that the Tiverton team had some opportunities but didn't capitalize on it. But then they came back and did capitalize on it, and it propelled them into the championship game, which I hopefully knew they were going to win. And so it was a good thing to see that they won. And I congratulate that on that worthwhile endeavor and wish them well in the next season. And so without further ado, we'd pass out the citations to the champions.
Okay. So they're not in any particular order, just how we got the names. So the first one is Sydney Oliveira. No? Kennedy Herford. Another one. Bat 0 for 2. Hopefully, Madeline Duckett is here. Wow.
Who gave you this list?
That's right. Adeline Messenger. The important position. Congratulations. Avery Craig. Adelaide Pimentel. Morgan DiMano. Tori Murray. Beatrice Pimentel. Olivia Costa. Sarah Poland. Avery Bonner. Samantha Borden. Nora Winslow. Leah Comito. You can skip your dad. Taylor Faria. And last but not least, we have the two coaches. We have Tom Murray. And Jim Gauch. You can keep this or not. Thank you. Congratulations.
And I do want to issue one additional congratulations because we had no injuries with the AV mess up here. Yeah. Well coached. Yeah, so with that, I don't know if anybody wants to do pictures or anything like that, but we can pause for a couple minutes if that's fine. All right. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we're gonna pause for like 5 so that Counselor Camino can go take a picture with the team. All right, guys, we back up? All right. So before we dive into 9B, Councilor DiMedeiros is going to give us a quick rundown of some of the festivities that are going to be happening over the next month and a half.
So the Recreation Department, or the committee, has a lot of activities in December. And I hope you all go. I don't have specific times on some of them, but it will be on the Recreation Commission site. There'll be a tree lighting Saturday, December 6th at Grinnell's Beach with a very special tree you're all going to love. There is Santa's Village at Patchett. Is it Patchett?
Patchett.
Patchett Tree Farm, 12 to 4. And that was a lot of fun last year. We had a lot of different crafts. We had a bonfire, and we will have a DJ there. December 14th will be the Hanukkah celebration at Town Hall at 4:30. And then Saturday, the 20th, is the movie Elf, and that'll be at Tiverton High School. Times have not been announced yet. So check the recreation site, please. And on December 22nd, there'll be a Christmas concert at Tiverton High School. Time has not been announced, and the big band from Providence will be playing. Big something band. They played at the concert 2 years ago, and they're terrific. And that's it, but that's a lot, and I want to thank the Recreation Department. This is a lot of work, and they're going to be working very hard.
All right. Thank you, Councilor DiMedeiros. Next item on the agenda is Administrator Jones, discussion and possible vote to approve Resolution 2025-0038 to reallocate $650,000 for study, siting, design, and building a public works department inclusive of a municipal recycling center.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. This request is based on the presentation by PAR Engineering at your last meeting, and working with the solicitor, knowing that that $650,000 was specifically for the recycling center. This is just administratively just making it more transparent and clean, that we can use a portion of that money to support the recycling study and also the previously allocated $50,000 for the public safety center.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Any motion from the council to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Paul, second by Councilor Perry. Any further discussion? Councilor Comito?
So, obviously, whatever funds we don't use for the study will remain for the recycling center, correct?
So the proposal that was put forth by PAR at your last meeting gives me limits as to how much we can spend. So it would be that contract. Anything over that, I'd have to come back to you.
But the unspent funds that we're gonna take out of this are gonna remain.
At the recycling, in
At
that
the-
line item, correct.
Yes.
I can assure you I'm not spending $650,000 on a study. That's the plan, sir. Yes.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All right. Next item on the agenda is Administrator Jones' discussion and possible vote to authorize payment of DaPonte's Landscaping Services invoice 082534 for $3,028 using Municipal Capital Account 640. This is continued from the 11:10 meeting. Mr. Administrator.
So, Mr. President, members of the council, I'm not going to request any action from the council. I've spoken with the treasurer, just because it's been on your agenda twice, just to understand, so you understand and everyone understands what we're going to do. As you're aware, DaPonte already has an account under the DPW. So what we're going to do is take this, because it was work associated with the town hall renovations, charge it to that account, and do an internal transfer in the DPW department. So no action is required by you at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Next item on the agenda is Police Chief Costa, discussion and possible vote to authorize Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant application with matching funds for bulletproof vests. Chief.
So I'm looking for permission to apply for this grant. It is a 50-50 match. Currently, all the officers that we have right now are all covered under the existing grant, and their vests are still active. None of them are expired at this time, but moving forward, if I'm given the permission to apply for this and we hire any new police officers, which I expect to do within the next year, and we're given the grant, this would offset the cost of the vest by about 50% per vest.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. We have a motion, Councilor Janick.
Just a question, how long do they last before they expire?
I believe 5 years now. Mr. Administrator, can I refer that back to you? Is it 3 or 5 years for the expiration on the vests? 5 years. 5? Yeah, 5 years.
So they could be for some of our existing offices also.
So the grant is yearly to apply, so most of the offices that we have currently, their vests won't expire this year. But the new hires moving forward, I'd be able to get vests under this grant.
Thank you.
Counselor Camino,
What is the amount?
50/50.
Dollar amount?
Oh,
An average vest costs about $1,000 to $1,500. So you talk about
that's my question. Okay, do we have a motion from the council?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion to authorize the chief to go seek this grant. And any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Thank you, Chief. Don't go anywhere because you're up next. Chief Costa and ACO Sartini, discussion and possible vote to consider and advertise a public hearing on Tiverton Code of Ordinances amendments to Chapter 10, animals regarding feral/backyard feeder cats and the prohibition on feeding wildlife. Was unaware that we cannot feed the wildlife.
It is state law. So ACO Sartini, first I would like to recognize the great work that she does for the town. She's very much so an animal rights advocate. She's out there and represents the police department very well. She started working on this under the past administration, trickled over to me, and this is what we're putting in front of you today. So I'd like to speak on it.
The first being prohibited feeding of backyard feeder cats and feral cats. As a lot of you know, cats are a general problem in the town of Tiverton. This will allow for Rhode Island General Law 4-22-2 to move from state law in addition into municipal law, to take it through municipal court rather than through district court. For lack of better phrasing, it can be a little silly to push something like this through a district court. Essentially what it is that it states if you feed a cat for a period of 60 days or more, you are now responsible for this cat. It's spay-neuter, it's feeding, rabies vaccines, any medical care that it may need. It still can stay outside, doesn't mean you now have to make it an indoor cat. But you are responsible for this cat overall. A lot of times what I'm seeing is that people feed these cats for 1 to 2 years. They call me and say, I don't want to do this anymore. What can you do? I can't just go pick up your cat because it is now your cat, per state law, and hopefully per municipal ordinance.
Okay, seems pretty straightforward. So, just to advertise, so I have a motion to advertise for this ordinance, and then we'll pick a date. Madam Clerk.
So moved.
Discussion, Councilor Camino?
Yeah, so, did you say, I didn't hear you too well, sorry.
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
After 6 days,
60 days.
60 days of feeding the cats?
Yes.
60 days. All right, thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Why not? I mean, we're moving pretty quickly. If you'd like to, just, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone, so those at home may hear you. Yes. Yeah, I mean,
Right, but-
you came out, so go for it.
So I've been a cat rescuer for 15 years, volunteer, independent. And I'm coming from Southern California, and we moved here in 2021. And I actually was able to form a coalition in California with, which was really groundbreaking there, with local shelters, local veterinarians, animal control, and foster/rescue groups. And we really got a handle on the feral cat colonies. And I just want to let Tiverton know, we can't starve our way out of a cat population problem. You cannot starve your way out of this. The only true way out of this is pet population control, which is spay and neutering. And if you see a cat that has an ear tip, that means somebody cared enough about me to get me spayed and neutered. So if you ever see a cat that has a little tip off of it, it means it has a feeder and somebody is caring for it. We've overcome many obstacles with neighbors, and our ultimate goal is cat safety. And we also want people not to harm them. So we would come up with things like, okay, people would be upset that there was cans or there was trash. Well, you know what we started doing? We started feeding them on tortilla shells, just flat tortillas, because gets eaten too. And that way there's no trash, there's no cans, there's no anything around. So there's nothing that we really can't accomplish here. I mean, I just got concerned. I've only been to one town council meeting since I moved here, but when I saw that and people called me because they know the work that I do, And they were like, you have to go and just find out what's going on here. So I really feel like I would like us to support the people that are tirelessly, really volunteers, most of them out there doing TNR. TNR is trap, neuter, release. And I think we need to support those programs and support the rescuers, because if we stop feeding animals, what's going to happen is they will starve. They already have it rough as it is outside in the elements here. But new cats will move in. Remind you quickly of Europe in the 1300s. They disposed of all the stray cats in Europe, and the rodents took over, and 60 million people died from the Black Plague because disease was spread. There's no breed of feral cat, and I'll conclude with this. A feral cat is a direct result of human negligence. They are a domesticated animal. It means somebody discarded a cat who was really meant to be a house cat. They're domesticated now. But when they're born outside, they become fearful, they're afraid of people, their instincts kick in, and they're stuck between living indoors and having a safe life to being outside and fighting for their life every day. And I would just like Tiverton to be, we have, I'm sure you know of it, I don't know, but I mean, we do have a cat cafe in town. It was the first one in the whole state. I've been all over the world, and every place I go, Vienna, Budapest, everywhere I've gone, there's cat cafes there. So it's very cool that Tiverton has that business, and I'm not affiliated with them at all. I drop food off every now and then, but I'm an independent rescuer, and like I said, I just think that we need to really think long and hard about this and be kind and humane, and we can end the problem with population control. Thank you very much.
One thing before you go, if you wouldn't mind, just name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kim Kaladze, and I live at 115 Hobson Ave.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And just so you know, Kim, the vote here is to advertise for public hearing, so just keep your eye on the next agendas. It would be, I don't know, probably January, beginning of January, January 12th.
Okay.
Was when this will actually come up for public
Okay,
hearing. So
I'll come with some interesting data.
perfect. Thank you. So motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed. Okay, next item on the agenda, Charter Review Commission Chair Janick. Update related to work to date. Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
We're going. Terry, you can stay with me.
I'll chat with you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. All right, there we go. Nothing like a amplified voice. So the Charter Review Commission has been meeting since February. We just completed our 20th meeting. We have had a lot of work that we've done, a lot that we've tried to accomplish, and we've had a lot of people come before us, including the chairs of the Zoning Board, Personnel Board, the School Committee. They had the school superintendent recently. Town Administrator has graced us. The Solicitor has come before us and advised us as well. The Planning Board, Rec Commission Chair, the Town Treasurer, and the Budget Committee Chair. We still have a couple of meetings to go before our one-year charge ends on December 4th, and after that, we're going to submit to the council the full slate of our recommendations. And just to tick off some of the topics that we have discussed and tentatively voted to move forward, including changing the town council from 2-year to 4-year terms. Without going into detail, it has to do with the amount of time that you have to get up to speed before you're turning around and involved in another election. And we would stagger the terms initially, with the top 4 vote getters being the first ones to roll over. The lower 3 would be into the election again. We're looking to put forward the town treasurer and changing it from an elected position to an appointed position. The thought process was that this position has a lot of responsibility, and in an election, it's possible that you could get somebody who does not necessarily have the accounting experience and knowledge necessary to run a town with a $60 million budget. So if that were to be put forward, it would be falling under the council and the administrator's shared oversight as an appointed position.
We have received some recommendations from the solicitor regarding zoning board of review changes, and I won't go into the details. They're mostly to be in compliance with state law. That will be included. We're putting forward to add a town planner. We don't currently have one, although we have one. It's not in the list of people within the town for, that are required. And we feel that that's something that's necessary, especially with the situations that we're seeing recently, but also going forward. We would like to also revise the budget process to complete that process prior to, well, we haven't set a date, but to give the schools time before they have to provide layoff notices on June 1st. So as the timing had been in the past, we were always done by it was either the first or the second Saturday in May when we had the FTR. And that still gave an opportunity for an alternate budget to come forward or arguments to be made. This would be to move that process forward so we're not at the June 30th deadline, which we currently are. We felt that we have the ability to get most of the numbers in. When the governor does his State of the Union, he presents the budget proposals, and we get a pretty good idea of what the funding's going to be, so that'll allow us to put together a budget that will be acceptable and within the constraints of the state law. And one of the more thoroughly discussed topics that we had was the intent to present a change to expand the role of the Budget Committee, to increase the oversight of the budget process within the town and the factors impacting the budget, and that they would also be the body putting forward a unified budget for voters to consider. That's still in discussion, but that has been the majority of the commission is looking to do that. But there's still work to be done regarding that, aspects of that, how the town council, school committee, and electors would have an opportunity to present changes to a budget that's presented. That has to be worked out, but we recognize that that wouldn't be necessary. Currently, the budget committee in an advisory role, they came before us and their sentiment was one of frustration. They had felt that their time was not really valued. In the last election, as most of you know, we had no candidates for the budget committee because the role being advisory is kind of a paper tiger. So those are some of the things that we're looking to put forward. That's probably the majority of what you're going to see. I want to thank here the groups that have come before us, all the officials that you made available to us and that came before us. They presented some very interesting concepts, and their discussions were very spirited as we talked about how we would like to see the town move forward. And I look forward to coming back to you with our final presentation. At this point, are there any questions?
Chair Janick, first off, thank you for coming to give us a quick update. I know you're rapidly running out of time, but my ask would be that obviously by the time this comes in front of us, I'm assuming it's I don't know if we have to do a public hearing on this, correct, or no?
So I don't know what they're going to present. I think, are you just presenting concepts or are you presenting actual language to us?
The intent is to present concepts because you are the final voice on what will go before the voters. So we felt that if you had the guidance of the solicitor put together the language to achieve whatever goals you feel.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt. So my suggestion would be, once we get those concepts, the council will probably have a discussion about those concepts, which ones you want to move forward that would need to be drafted in that language form, and then have a public hearing once you decide which proposals you want to move forward with the language in front of you, because the voters certainly deserve the right to have a public hearing on the language that's before them.
So my ask,
the actual charter language.
My ask, Chair Janick, is that our first meeting an only meeting in December is on December 8th. So I know your time on the commission expires on December 4th, but I think we have it on good authority that we can get you here on the 8th to present those concepts to us.
Then,
right, Councilor Janick?
as long as there's approval, I can be here.
You're just going to make sure he comes to present them, even though he's technically off on the 8th. So if you'd be open to a more formal presentation on the 8th with either you and other members of your committee, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. We would love to do that.
I have a question.
Councilor Perry.
Dave.
Chair Janick, you spoke about the treasurer, and it's a appointed position, correct?
Yes,
Now, would that go through the personnel board
yes,
for hiring?
yes.
Yep.
And to your point, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's been a lot of discussion on different positions and what the requirements are, and one of the things we're going to put forward that I didn't mention is kind of I'm not going to say an omnibus, but it's going to be just a tidying up of the language, the grammar, the syntax that is in the charter. When you read it thoroughly, like we've done for 10 months, 11 months, you notice these things.
Wonderful. So, yeah, I want to thank you, and please express, on behalf of the council, our appreciation for the work that your entire committee has done.
Great. Thank you very much.
Oh, Councilor Paul.
As the quarter-time absentee liaison to that committee, the few meetings that I did attend, they were very, the information that was being exchanged and challenged, and the discussions were just well thought out, very cordial. They've done a great job. Fortunately, I jumped in after all the reads, so you guys pretty much got down to your bottom 5, 6, but no, they really have done a fantastic job, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right, next item on the agenda, Administrator Jones, update on town hall renovations. Are we ever getting back there, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. So, as you're aware, you authorized to award the bid for the asbestos, which has kind of been the unfortunate holdup with the whole project, abating the asbestos. We did have a vendor meet on Friday. By next Monday, so December 1st, our asbestos vendor is going to come in and, to use a pop culture reference, make it look like E.T.'s house. So all the sheeting will go up, all of the decontamination area, and by the 8th, which is the following Monday, they plan to actually start the abatement. So there is a potential that we might have to close Town Hall to the public, but that is not the intent. Obviously, we want to keep it open for normal business like we did before, but we're keeping that open, and I will advise the council about that. And obviously, we want to keep not only the public safe, but our employees safe as well. There's going to be a lot of noise, there's going to be a lot of issues, and I know and I have confidence in the vending company and our contractors that they want to be done with us as quick as possible, as quickly as we want to be back. But we are making good progress. Those of you who have gone by Town Hall have seen some of the progress inside. I'm excited that once it is done, it will be done, at least in my lifetime and tenure. But I think it'll definitely be more professional, more user-friendly, and more friendly and accommodating to the public. I will say, those of you who have been in there, and I'll speak for the clerk and the deputy clerk, obviously with what you see in the town clerk's office, I feel is an enormous improvement from a customer safety perspective, from just an access perspective, not only for the public doing business with the clerk's office, but also for the efficiency of the clerk's office as well.
I have a question. When are they going to fix the floor in the planning department? It's the floor that needs to be fixed, right? Is that fixed?
Yes, ma'am. So with that, the tiles on top of the floor are asbestos.
Oh, that is
so
true.
when they pull those tiles up, similar to what happened a few months ago in the clerk's office that was being held up by floor jacks, so now it's asbestos. So they're going to pull those tiles up and address the beam underneath that you can see from the outside.
Which needs to be replaced, do you think?
I think they're going to do it in a certain area. They're not going to replace the whole
All right.
beam, but they're going to shore up that area that's rotted away.
And then the shingles will be able to go up.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor Burke.
So if you do have to close Town Hall, what are your contingency plans for key elements of town government? And also a way for somebody to get in touch with somebody if they really have an urgent need?
So as of right now, downstairs where the treasurer is, we're actually moving the planning department down there, because where the land use clerk sits now, that's going to be permanently moved, along with the building department as well, because that's going to be the next phase. We're moving them all downstairs. So downstairs will be fine. So if we need to move operations, hopefully, I'm hoping that we do not have to close Town Hall at all. But if we do, part of the contingency plan will be to move essential operations downstairs, have somebody by the phones, and that'll be something that I'll work out with, obviously, the clerks and the respective department heads that are impacted. And I will say, as far as the vendors go as well, they've been very open to working on weekends and nights. So I think that will help expedite this project as well. But we're probably looking at anywhere between 5 and 10 days, hopefully less, of the actual abatement going on. But they've kind of set up, and they do have a plan to utilize the door that goes into the town administrator's office, shut the front door, also kind of cordon off with protective sheeting, an area for the public. So there is a plan in place that we're pretty confident with, but obviously we had a plan, or at least I thought I did when I first started these renovations, and it didn't go the way that I expected. So we're kind of keeping it open, but keeping town hall open for the public is a main priority. And if something changes, obviously I will let the public know, and I will definitely consult with the full council as well.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is Administrator Jones' request to allocate funds from council contingency 1020-6890 related to boarding fees for the property at 35 Hilton Street.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. And I know, as you already know, you've already allocated fees out of council contingency for the Connecticut Street property. This is an additional property that the building official and the zoning department investigated, along with the police department. We are working with, or trying to determine, well, we know who the owner of the property is, but it was, we received complaints about this property. Clearly, there was drug use going on in this property. There were hundreds of needles from what I've been reported. And it was at such a state that it was a danger to that community and that neighborhood. So the maintenance department, in coordination with the police department, DPW, zoning and building, condemned the building and boarded it up. So I'm requesting an amount not to exceed $5,000. But I will also say this, given the amount of properties that we've been utilizing and that the building official, so what I plan on doing, and he will plan on doing, is putting something in his line item, so meaning in the budget for 26-27.
It
So this
used
way.
to be, and they took it out.
So I will be proposing that to you. I will also be proposing, because the maintenance department through DPW, as you know, is being utilized for this. And they can handle it when it's a window or a door, when they are taking days, because it is an entire house. I know there was, the one on Connecticut Street took days. This one took a couple days. What I would suggest is that we go out to RFP, see if there's any contractor that would like to do this on an on-call basis. So this way that we can utilize their services in cooperation with the building department and the zoning department moving forward. So my ask for you tonight is to authorize me to use not to exceed $5,000 out of council contingency to handle this issue.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did they take the needles out of the building, or the needles? As a nurse, I just,
You know what, to be honest, ma'am, I am not sure. I do not think they did any extensive cleaning. I think they just boarded it up so no one else could get in.
eventually that will have to be done by medical personnel.
Either that or medical personnel or hazardous material specialists that can go in there and
That's
abate
why I'm
all of
asking.
that stuff.
Okay.
Yes. But from what, like I said, from what I understand from the zoning, building, and the police department, there was clear, consistent drug use going on there for a length of time, that it wasn't just an overnight or a couple-day issue, it was probably months.
Mr. Administrator, is the fire department going in these buildings, or are they getting the good old orange X?
I believe, from what I understand, the building official, it's boarded up, and then it's posted with notice per the local regulations and state law.
I'm just saying, if they pull up in this fire showing, they're not going in.
I mean, I wouldn't, my former profession really doesn't speak to that, so I would leave it to the good professionals that we have serving the fire department to make a determination on what they're going to do. So,
There's needles in there.
So, thank you for that, that insight. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve. What's that? No, I'd like to entertain
Move
a.
approval of not to exceed $5,000
Second.
from council contingency related to boarding fees for property at 35 Hilton.
All right, motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Seconded by everybody. Hearing none. All those in favor? All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, discussion and possible vote to advertise a public hearing on Tiverton Code of Ordinances, Section 22-3, holiday business, to repeal this section effective 1/1/2026.
So under state law, which is effective 1/1/2026, the ability of town to issue holiday sales license is no longer valid. We don't have the authority to do so. All businesses can open any day of the week except for Christmas and Thanksgiving, they don't need a special license, except for businesses, pharmacies, gas stations, bakeries, and flower shops. They can be open on Thanksgiving and Christmas, but all the businesses have to be closed, and we no longer have the ability to issue holiday sales licenses.
I have one question as it
Yes.
relates to this.
Huh?
As it sits today on 11/24, we need to advertise for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We are canceling, we have already canceled the 12/22 meeting.
This wouldn't be effective until next year, so we already issued holiday sales license for this coming year, even though.
It's on the percentage.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's really, this will,
There's no charge.
and
Got it.
we don't charge people, I guess.
All right, so they'll be retroactively deleting it. Got it. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
So we can do
And
this in
there's really only
January,
one
no issue.
holiday under the current licenses that were just renewed was Christmas.
Okay.
Move
All right.
approval to advertise?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor DiMederos. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. With that, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed executive session. Administrator Jones, Rhode Island General Law 42465A5, discussion and potential vote related to the sale of town-owned property in the industrial park and review of a proposal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor DiMederos. Counselor Comito? Counselor Burke?
Yes.
Counselor Janick?
Yes.
Counselor DiMederos?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Counselor Paul?
Yes.
Counselor Perry? All right, we are now in closed executive session.